CNN plays Harry Potter game. Okay, we're done with Hogwarts Legacy. Let's watch this debate.
Okay, I'm doing nuts. Okay,
it's debate review. Moist critical debates XQC on the Darmon situation. Oh, this is my favorite type of content.
Okay, I'll either give a supporting take or another take.
Pee real quick. I'll be back.
Sometimes it's aligned or something neutral. I watched it in the video, and maybe it's because of my fundamentals. I genuinely didn't agree with it. Your takes. Is that fair enough or not?
That's totally fine. This is one that I'm a little surprised to hear, though, because I feel like this is just a really basic, not controversial take at all.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I see a big fallacy. Okay, it's like a slippery slope. It's like a slippery slope coming up. Okay, to me, it feels like the argument is like, yo, dude, they work for something that is very successful and makes a lot of money. Therefore, they're entitled to more. Just like, let's say, Amazon is popping off. They're like $1 trillion company, right? Well, technically, the dude could, Bezos could afford to make every employee $150K a year, right? Without affecting much of the company's worth. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, should he? Probably not. That's just my take.
So I can see why you'd want to draw that comparison. It's just in this field that's not really apt. So the actors are being paid, as I understand it, almost exactly what they were being paid when the channel made $0, had 0 subscribers, and they were contractors as opposed to employees, which isn't unusual, especially for that kind of field.
Yeah, but you know how much that is? I looked at you off. I want to make some quick maths there. Did they ever release how much they're making?
Quick maths.
How many hours that they're working on? Because I watched a video and I couldn't take it at face value because I feel like there's a lot loaded in here that isn't being unpacked.
Dude, I love thinking that XQC is just taking this position because he's like an avid Darmon fan, and for no other reason. I don't think that's the case, but I do like thinking that. You know what I mean? He's like, no, I have to defend Darmon. Like, he is my favorite content creator.
Because maybe you know more than I do, so your opinion is more strong about it. Because when I look at it, right, with the info I'm given,
can you provide context for the uninformed? Yes. Darmon is a massive, internationally successful YouTube content creator who's basically defined an entire genre on its own. Darmon makes like super easy to consume like videos that are very stupid. Okay, like they're incredibly stupid. As someone who crewed at Darmon, XG doesn't even know how bad it is. Crew side, we've only covered what it's like for the actors, and not even crew side. It was literally a YouTube sweatshop for the crew. They only cared about views and 0 care about the quality. Yeah. He appeals to those who do not speak native English language. So XQC, you are making a very good point. Hasan's HRT dealer, maybe that's the reason why. He makes videos where it's like, you know, a bully, here's what happens when a bully goes too far, and then the bully's victim turns around and like flexes on them with wads of cash. It's incredibly stupid. Lost half his brain in the divorce. And I mean, that's like that. By the way, the thing that I explained to you is a real video starring SSS Sniper Wolf. So if you want to check that out on your own time, you can do so. Anyway, turns out he shockingly is not paying his actors or his crew all too well. Now, this is a common practice for YouTube channels in general. It's common practice for the internet space in general. But it's additionally weird for Darmon because, like, one, he has, I guess, cultivated like an overall positive outlook. Like, people perceive him as like a positive person, which I don't know why, but like if you watch his content, it's like kind of odd to think that. But overall positive image, yes. But also because like he makes a lot of money, not just on his YouTube videos that are insanely successful, but also a lot of money on merchandise and a lot of money on, it's like a relatively low budget operation that churns out a fuckload of money because like they're repurposing it on, wait, this is the best gift from Darmon.
Oh my God.
No, this is not a Darman video. This is a Darman wannabe clip. Anyway, we're not going to cover that. Yeah, he makes a lot of views. He makes a lot of money and generates a lot of views on Facebook as well.
I'm not coming to the same conclusion as you.
No, so you mean like actual figures? Have they released their salaries?
Yeah.
No. And as far as how much they're working, you can only speculate, but since Darman uses the same actors and contracts them as opposed to puts them on payroll, you can kind of extrapolate that since...
Look, this is some of the videos. Black lady mistreated by her boss. What happens next is shocking. Male boss treats female employees unfair at work. He lives to regret it. Evil boss mistreats his worker. Mean bosses mistreating employees. They live to regret it. And like, look at the views. Like 12 million, 5 million, 11 million, 20 million. And then another 100 million on Facebook.
For example, Colin, who plays Steve in most of the content, I think he's been in roughly like at least, and this is a ballpark, like 40% of his videos in some capacity. That's still a lot of hours. Like that's a decent chunk of hours. And he is not getting paid the standard that an actor working those hours would be paid. And the reason there's a protest is because they understand like they're not entitled to more money, though I think it's only fair given the work they put in, and as it's grown so much, Darman being in his position would want to take care of his actors. The reason they're protesting is because he refuses to even speak with them on their payroll and instead fires them if they bring it up, or dodges them since he's pushed their last 3 meetings and then just completely canceled the 4th. So the reason specifically for the protest isn't even the suboptimal pay, it's the fact that he will not even talk to them about it. And if you bring it up, you get fired.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I agree with that part. You know, the thing I agree with.
Why won't I debate critical on what we agree? Well, we would just be like sitting across from one another agreeing.
The meetings, I mean, it's shit. It's just trash because it feels like you're kind of baiting and stretching, right? Like you say, oh, a problem exists, let's talk about it, and you delay it while they're still working. So yeah, then I agree with that 100%. As soon as that happened, I said, yeah, that's shit because you shouldn't be doing that. I just felt like it was hard to have the conclusion because what is this like LA based?
Yeah, so Darman Studios is LA based, yeah. So they have 3 sound stages in Burbank, I believe.
Okay. So it felt to me that, LA rent is it's a disaster. So I was like, okay, well, rent is probably really fucking high, right? And based on the hours, I saw a lot of employees over there. There was a lot, they protesting. A lot of them were over there, right? And I was like, well, if the concern is that they can't pay rent and they're contractors, right? I'm like, with the amount of people that are over there, how much hours could they be realistically be putting in? And I'd be like, well, of course you can't pay rent of the salary of this one YouTube channel's like intermittent appearances. I mean, that's there's not much you can do here. Like,
yeah. So I think I see what's going. I think you're under the impression that what they're looking for is a like full-time job salary to cover everything. As I understand it, that's not really the case. So all of these people, they are contractors. They're not employees. They're not allowed to be employees for Darman. But they have other job opportunities, I imagine, other income sources. But the pay that they're receiving from Darman is not industry standard, and it's not acceptable for the amount of work they're putting in. Like the amount of hours they're doing with their work for him is not being compensated fairly by Darman. That's where the issue stems from.
Well, makes sense. I mean, then the thing's point. Say if they're contractors, did they agree to a contract? What happened in between What happened in between this time that they signed for something that they're going to be paid a certain amount for a certain amount of hours, and then why are they upset now? Is it because the channel is more successful and there's more money to be made, but they're not getting a portion of it that they think it's fair? I mean, in my opinion, the way I feel about it, I'm coming into a job as a contractor, and they're telling me, hey, you're gonna be paid $20 an hour, and you're working 8 hours a week, flat, right? So that's all I can offer you, right? And I say yes, well, I have to come to terms with the fact that I'll be paid $20 an hour, 8 hours a week, flat. End of story, right? And if that's not adequate for me anymore, right? Well, I quit.
Well, so that's the stage they're reaching, but they're not quitting. They're getting fired for trying to negotiate. So as this has scaled up, the productions have scaled up. He's releasing multiple videos a week. Their hours have scaled up, but their contract.
So he hit him with a classic. Well, they paid they signed a contract. Like, suck it up. You know what I mean? Which, you know, you can renegotiate, and you should be able to renegotiate. And if you're not able to renegotiate and you get fired, then I think it's valid to, you know, be upset about that.
And their pay haven't reflected the extra work that's going into it. But instead of being able to talk about it to like negotiate a more fair pay, a better rate for their work, he's just firing them or refusing to talk to them.
Well, I didn't see that. I wish there was like a video explaining that. So, from what I saw, I think this comes from a position where you know more than the video that's on. Because with what I'm getting in the video, I don't have enough to make these conclusions. I just don't. Like, even the guy talking,
wait,
what he's
what?
saying,
Why?
I don't agree with it at face value.
About so when he says like, we're taking on all of these hours, we're taking on these jobs for Darman, but we can't afford to even have this like help with our rent, that's not like an alarming thing for you to hear? Because I think even just taking it at face value, it's like, you would think for something this successful with this many appearances throughout all of this content that's generating this level of income on the back of their talent that's been there since the start, you would think that they'd be on some kind of good payment system, right? Like, wouldn't you try and draw that conclusion? Like, for example, this is a stupid comparison, but I'm going to go big here. And I think for Darman, it's kind of fair. Someone like Steve is a star. In the same way that Robert Downey Jr. was a star for Marvel. Would you expect him to be working for the same pay as that continued to scale up as he was at the beginning? Because I think the answer should be no.
Oh, yeah. That was complicated.
He's right, and he should say it. Steve is the Robert Downey Jr. of the Dharma. Dude. Has XZ worked in his life? Yes, he has. Yeah, he's actually done more than the average Twitch streamer has, surprisingly. This motherfucker had didn't he have what did he have? I think he had a commercial driver's license, maybe even? No. He was a janitor, and he was forklift certified, yeah.
Complicated. Wait, the what?
Darman's content has been built off the back of the same actors and actresses at the same rate without ever scaling.
Bro, this dude is lit. Okay, Charlie, you are a communist, okay? You better fucking dial it back a little bit. This motherfucker's moving into my territory saying Darman's content has been built off the back of his laborers. What the fuck? You have nothing to lose but your chains? What are you saying right now? What kind of fucking... What is this? Bro, chill. Okay, dial it back, Charlie. Calm down, okay?
Scaling up as everything else is scaled up.
You don't see me making fucking penis jokes, like eloquent penis jokes about, I don't know, some other fucking TikTok drama every goddamn day, okay?
Much in the same way that Marvel scaled up from Robert Downey Jr., thus they needed to pay him more as things went on and his hours increased, his workload increased. That's just the way things work as they grow.
Okay, no. That is not, okay, so that is a terrible comparison. Sorry to cook you on this one.
Jess is more humble than you, socialist. Yeah, exactly. Which I know you think is like, I assume you're joking, right? Or maybe you made that like as a serious own. But like, you know, we both know that he is worth a lot more than me.
Because that's what we call...
It's funny though, because like a lot of people would probably say that. Like they'd be like, dude, Charlie fucking doesn't spend his money like you do, you fucking idiot. And it's like, dude, he has spent like $1 million on fucking Yu-Gi-Oh cards, no? Like, no, I'm making that number up, but like, and also he can if he wants to. He is a lot more wealthy than I am. He's been a YouTube legend for a fucking decade. He owns an esports team.
In that,
but they can't do that. They can't because he's shutting it down. Exactly. He's firing them.
Well, I mean, they have no leverage. That's how it is. Of course, Robert Downey Jr., if he shows himself to be a better actor, he's more needed. So therefore, he can only get a certain roles per amount of year. So his value, right, it increases. So then he can use the other films as leverage, right, against his current person that wants him to stay and say, yo, dude, if I spend my time over there, I'd be making double money. So I'm worth this much right now, right? If you want to pay that, you can pay that, right? Otherwise, I'm not working here anymore, right? These guys have no leverage, right? A jar man on paper could literally go to Craigslist and get anybody show up for fucking $80, right? And that person will show up and will do the work that these guys are putting in, and we'll probably get the same amount of results.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally okay. So XQC is making, dude. This is why, one, capitalism is inherently right wing, and two, everyone without even recognizing it sees it as the default position. Because what XQC is advocating for currently is just that this is low skill labor. The value of your labor is dependent on how replaceable you are. Okay. He probably doesn't even realize that he's saying that. You know what I mean? But it's just like, it is quite literally just the most basic concept that we have internalized without even thinking about it. If you were to turn around and like flip the script on him and be like, you are a contracted laborer for Twitch, you could make an argument to help him understand a little bit better too.
With the amount of the quality of acting that is in those videos.
This is why I hate how generous you are with people like you. Okay, this is why I'm right and you're wrong. You have to be generous because he is not a bad person overall. Most people are not evil, even if they are unintentionally or intentionally advocating for a style of governance that you have declared to be evil. Okay, we are products of our environment.
Yeah, but that's also not.
He isn't malicious. He's indoctrinated. Exactly.
Point. Like he could find 15 high school students to do it for free, but does that make it right or fair to the actors? That's more the argument, not so much like can it get done with people that are lesser.
Okay, this will be like exploitator behavior answer. I think that's still fine. If they say they want to do it, and they say yeah, then fuck it. It's like if I'm unpacking something in my car. So he said, and some fucking, I don't know, some like adolescent shows up, like 16-year-old dude is like, hey, need help with that? I'm like, yeah, right? I mean, he agreed to help for free, right? I mean, I don't owe him shit, even if though I made him lift the fucking.
XQC describing literally how like the entire third world and social democracies exist. Okay? It's just like the mentality that he is describing is unironically one that is such a permanent staple in our lives, whether we recognize it or not, which is just, yeah, you know, it's making the labor aristocracy live a life of ease and comfort.
Diamond worth 20 mil, I have to pay him shit, right? If somebody agrees to do something for a certain rate or something, which is
it's in every capitalist nation, not just social democracy. Right? Yes, you are right.
I mean, yeah, I'll take it. I mean, when I was a kid, I did acting for some college students like 4 times for free. They only like give me fucking like a lunch, something like that. I agreed to that. I was okay with that. I didn't feel scammed. That's kind of how I feel about it. And if I were to go into a contract with certain hours, like if these guys were like let on.
Okay, that's why pay is supposed to scale, right? Like that's why Steve deserves more of a percentage of the profits that he's generating than like some guy who's just coming in. Now, the base pay should be higher regardless. That can always be elevated depending on what what the product is, depending on what the output is, right? But it's perfectly understandable and reasonable to which is what the argument Charlie was making, improve your pay as the product scales and as you know, your experience in the workforce scales. So comparing that to like, you know, someone just like taking on a free role in a movie or whatever for the memes is not correct because this is Steve's job and livelihood.
And they would be paid more, and they got scammed. It's a whole different ball game. But if they agree to something, they don't agree. If they got promised something that the employer doesn't, and they don't agree with the pay anymore, well, that's on them.
Well,
right?
Yeah, but at this point, you're making arguments for finding like the lowest possible payment for the same work. Like at this point, you're like almost making a sweatshop argument. Like, why pay for these workers when I can just pay like almost nothing for these workers? It's not like, I mean, the work gets done, but I mean, is a sweatshop a good thing?
Okay, that's not a good thing. The government protects in this country against sweatshops.
No, it doesn't.
The government.
No, it doesn't. No, and no, and you would think. One would think that it does.
That goes. It's why the sweatshops exist. Is that they go into other countries where laws are different, and then they zone it out, and then people work under circumstances, under pay, under hours that wouldn't fly in the United States, right? But we are in the United States.
Nope, that's not the case. Nope, nope. Bro, Hyundai had a facility in Alabama where there were 12-year-olds working on the assembly line, okay? 12-year-olds. It's not a joke. 12, 13, and 14-year-olds were working on the assembly line in a Hyundai facility inside of the United States of America in Alabama. What do you mean when? Like 2 months ago, brother. He said when. What, you think I meant like fucking 1876? What? Oh, and then more, a Reuters special report found that child workers were found throughout the Hyundai Kia supply chain in Alabama. Not just one facility, but multiple facilities. At least 4 major suppliers of Hyundai Motor Co. and sister Kia Core have employed child labor at Alabama factories in recent years. Yep.
In this case, right? So they are protected by certain things, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely protections in place, 100%.
So I just don't feel like, without getting the exact numbers, that I can take these guys' arguments.
The very conversation that XQC's having with Charlie right now would never even exist if there were adequate protections for labor in this country, which is kind of funny, but we've already like given up on that notion. Kids at meatpacking plants as well, of course. Like, this would not even be a point of consideration if we had adequate labor protection in this country. No one would be like literally fucking going, oh man, I really don't. I'm not saying workplace disputes would not happen, but like very clearly the fact that like contracting of this sort for like permanent employees where they're not being adequately compensated is a point of contention, is a point of conversation, is an implication that it's not working, that it doesn't exist.
At face value without like actually seeing at least some sort of data and then making conclusions is very bad. I feel like this is like, I don't know. I except for the part where he doesn't show up to meetings, which I think is fucking lame as shit. Okay, I feel like I've done the same by accident or because of lack of professionalism to my editors, where I'm like, I say, yo, yeah, I'll be around like in a minute, and then I don't talk to them for like a day, a week, sometimes fucking 2 months. I talk to them, these motherfuckers, but you know. Bro, that's like lack of professionalism, right? Like it happens sometimes. Like I don't think it's a massive problem. Okay, but I'm not putting myself in the equation. I just feel like, except for that part, which is bad, right? It's bad. It's bad.
Wait, what did I miss? What did he say?
I don't think it's a massive. Bro, that's like lack of professionalism, right? Like it happens sometimes. Like I don't think it's a massive problem. Okay, but I'm not putting myself in the equation. I just feel like, except for that part, which is bad. Right? It's bad. It's bad to not show up to your meetings and be baited like that. I fail to see what the problem is.
So
Professionalism.
I'll try and like gauge this a little more something like in this wheelhouse. You mentioned editors. Do you have the same editors now as you did when you, let's say, do you have the same editors now as you did last year?
I've had one editor from when the channel was nothing. To something, and I hired somebody. I had on top, now I have 2, and the new guy has taken the something to something greater because of combined workload and different.
Oh, he said he forgets to pay his editors sometimes for 2 months. Because, okay, to be fair, I'm very bad at responding as well. I'm like
philosophies, right? So now we have 2, but they've been there pretty much for the whole ride. When it was making nothing, to a little bit. To a lot, right?
So the guy that started when you were nothing, is he being paid right now what he was when you were making nothing?
Oh, he's being paid more with an adaptive, with a agreed upon adaptive pay of 15%.
Okay, but you see like how that pay has increased, and he's been there from the beginning as it grew. Like you see that.
Yeah. But that's because, that okay. So like I said, it's adaptive.
POV, you're an XQC editor and you haven't heard from your boss in months. I love their operation, dude. It's fucking awesome.
Right? Because I want them to be motivated to do more and do better, and to like keep up with like in the industry and how it's going. Like if they work more, they're paid more. I feel like this is a different ball game. These people are contracted to show up for something, and they do it very bad, right?
Borger, don't say that. You usually respond in a day or two. 2 months is crazy. Okay, chill, dude. I have a reputation to uphold as one who starves his editors, okay? Morally bankrupt. As a morally bankrupt phony.
Okay, so bad by like our definitions of the acting is cringy, but they are doing exactly what they're paid to and exactly as directed. Steve, Colin.
Which this is funny though, because like Charlie already made the argument and XQC already acknowledged that like, yeah, they're